Hello, women of the world. Welcome to Her Vision, Her Empire, where we celebrate the strength, ambition, and dreams of women like you who are forging their own paths in the world of entrepreneurship. Remember, it's time to build your empire, one vision at a time. Hello, women of the world, and welcome to another episode of Her Vision, Her Empire. I am your host, Sadie, and we are so excited to have Siera Sambrosky on the podcast today. Welcome, Siera.
Hi, Sadie. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. Would you introduce yourself to us, please?
Sure. So, my name is Siera Sambrosky, as you mentioned, and I work with business owners in particular that have had a major loss or life transition, usually in the last few years. Sometimes they're currently going through that. But basically, they find themselves in a place where they are really questioning if they're on the right path, who they really are, what do they really want for themselves. So I take them on this journey of really going into self-discovery in a way that they haven't done before. And then we can go ahead and process through any feelings, emotions, grief that may be coming up for them, and then realign their business to what they've discovered about themselves. Because I say all the time, we are the vessel in which our business shows up. So if there is a lack of clarity, a lack of direction, if there's stuff mucking up the works in our personal lives, in ourselves, then it's going to cause those problems in our business. So I really work with both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for you personally, what do you like to do for hobbies and stuff like that?
Well, I'm an adventure explorer by nature. So
Yeah.
I love trying new things, whether that's new places to eat or new little towns to visit or new activities. So I like to travel a lot too, of course. And I do a lot of hiking. I've more recently moved, so I'm a little further from good trails than I used to be, but I definitely
Oh,
try and get into that as much as I can. I used to do it almost every day. Um, but yeah, so anything that really involves any level of exploring, adventuring, is really kind of how I reset myself and recharge myself for sure.
that's awesome. Yeah. And going into winter is probably a little harder to get outside, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a little fortunate that I live in South Carolina right now, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
a little milder here
Yeah.
than it is further up north where I came from, but still, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not as pleasant being outside.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm in Idaho, so it's a little crazy in the winter, but
Is it real cold there right now?
yeah, it's pretty cold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this morning we woke up and it was 26 degrees outside,
Oh, yeah,
which
that's
is,
colder, way colder than I
yeah,
like.
it's cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we live down in a canyon, so it's a little milder than out of the canyon. So
Yeah. Okay.
thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, so you were telling us about your business. How did you get started with that?
Well, so I was really a business consultant, like a straight typical business consultant. I started doing that around 20 years ago. And it was largely in the realm of like strategic organization, um, really being able to put into place operations, processes, systems, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there was another component of it that was in the marketing strategy and business development side of things, also. And so, I actually had a series of contracts for Gold's Gym owners
Hmm.
around like 2010. And it got me really interested in the whole fitness industry. I'd actually never even set foot in a gym, interestingly
Oh,
enough. But I've had a lot of industries that I've worked in, and I've always adopted the philosophy that I learn everything I can and, like, push the broom and whatever aspects
yeah.
that I need to learn to be able to get into it. And so when I was introduced to the fitness industry, I really did take a liking to it. And it really opened up for me the idea around like mind body connection.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going back to school for holistic health and counseling, and really dug into that and did a 2-year program with that
Oh,
and
wow.
started a coaching business on the side. So I was
That's
doing
great.
both
Yeah.
things separately. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then I guess probably about 2 years ago was when I realized that it didn't make sense. I couldn't really separate anymore when a business owner came to me and wanted help with their business. And I would have this insight, this knowing, and the connection and wherewithal to be able to start pulling the personal aspects that I knew
Hmm.
were affecting and showing up in their business.
Gotcha.
So I just started naturally blending it. But 2 years ago, I ended up reframing everything so that I actually was addressing it as a combined way of
Hmm.
working with business owners and their businesses.
Okay, that's great. I
Yeah.
love that. And so you've been doing it for about how long then?
Well, like I said, consulting, business consulting, 20 years.
Oh, okay.
The coaching side of it, I was doing separately, but I've been doing that for more than 10 years, probably almost 15 years now. And then this really niche down point of working with the business owners in conjunction with their business at the same time, 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the important point that I think everybody can really take with them is to know that we evolve as people. Life happens to us, things happen to us, we change, our priorities change, we
Yeah.
grow and learn. And so our businesses really should have this space and the means to evolve and grow and change also. And
Yeah,
then
that
that
makes
way,
sense. Yeah.
everything stays in sync. Yeah. I think a lot of times people think that they start a business and it has this one form. And so it needs to just like hold on to that. They're like gripping to it. And a lot of times they start to see that falling away, that the things that used to work, the things that used to bring in the clients, keep the clients, get new clients, like whatever that looks like, all of a sudden those things aren't working anymore. And it's
Yeah.
usually because they've somehow fallen out of alignment. Their priorities are different, their interests are different, what
Mm,
have you.
gotcha. That makes sense. When I was starting this podcast, I was so set on the mindset of like, once I start it, there's no going back. Like, I can't, like, I have to make sure that I'm doing it perfect from the beginning because it shouldn't change. But then my husband, like, talking to my husband, he was like, well, I listen to podcasts all the time. They evolve and change as they do more and more episodes, and um, they see like what people want more of or what they don't want and stuff like that. And so I'm like, oh yeah, like that makes total sense. Like I was just too much in my head, and just the perfectionist in me was very, I don't know if I can start this. And it was just so much pressure because I wanted it perfect from the beginning. But it definitely evolves and changes, and the audience also has a say in it. So, yeah,
Mhm.
that totally makes sense. So, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I know that you're not alone. I mean, certainly there's so many of us that I think either don't start something or cling to what we already have in the form that we already are doing it because of feeling like, well, I don't want to put something out there and not have it be perfect or not have it be well received. We can
Yeah.
stay stuck in that perfectionist and wanting to be able to deliver our highest and best, and And a lot of times just trying and kind of feeling your way through it is really actually the best way. It organically will evolve then, and you'll align to who you need to align to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Hmm.
For your business, do you have any social media platforms or your website or anything that people can find you on?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I am on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Sierra Intuitively Knows.
Okay.
I am big on LinkedIn also just because of the nature of working with business owners. It's the right platform for me right now.
Yeah.
And so on LinkedIn, I'm Siera Sambrosky, just like my name.
Okay.
And I do have a website. It is alchemy.com, AI.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will have those down in the show notes so everyone can find them. But
Okay.
thank you for sharing. What are your goals for your business, short term and long term?
Oh man. Um that's tough.
I
I
know.
think short term, I always have so many goals, it feels like. Short term, I would say I have a self-guided 30-day program that I'm hoping to get finished up and be able to put that out there for people that are interested. It's going to be called 30-day soul rehab, and it's
Okay.
it's kind of a real reset point for you that you can work through on your own. So I'm hoping to get that out early in the first quarter here. And then I have a book that I've been working on that I just I think it's the perfectionist same thing, Sadie,
Yeah.
that's kind of keeping me a little bit stuck there with that, to be really honest with you. But that's
Mm,
my goal, certainly, to get that out and get that published in the next year. And then, long term, my goals really are to be able to grow my business in such a way that I can more support a lot of mental health initiatives. That's really dear to
mm,
my heart, and in
yeah.
particular to help children with grief and trauma.
Okay.
So, to really be able to do that is kind of the big long term goal.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. What sets you apart from your competitors?
Well, we didn't talk about this, and I didn't say this in my introduction, but I am an intuitive medium. So all of my life, I've had spiritual gifts. I didn't understand them. I didn't
Okay.
have a framework for them. I didn't grow up with anybody talking about that. In fact, when I was a kid and knew things, it actually got me into a lot of trouble. And so it was actually something that I shut down for a long time.
Hmm.
And even in my 20s and 30s, even when I started doing this work in consulting and coaching with people, I would come up with these what seem like crazy ideas are really super deep buried personal information for people. And they would basically be like, who the heck are you? Like, how do
Oh,
you know
wow.
this about me? And I really
Wow.
didn't know. I thought it was just like my imagination. Like I said, I just really had people were like, how did you not know that it wasn't normal that you knew like these deeply personal backgrounds and secrets about people, or that you would come up
Yeah.
with this really random idea of like exactly who they needed to go approach for business development. And I was like, I don't know. I just didn't have a reference for it.
Yeah.
Um, but certainly in my own journey, in my own healing journey and personal growth journey and all the other things that I've done, I have come into contact with people that have helped me understand it, and now I know what it is, and it's very accessible to me. And
Hmm.
so without a doubt, I would have to say that is absolutely what sets me apart, is that I have this ability to know these insights and information about specifically what needs to be addressed for the business owner or in the business, or usually both,
Yeah.
and how to go about doing that with real um, ease, and with also in a really efficient manner so that things can move quickly. Um, so yeah, that's definitely my unique, it's my
Yeah.
unique quality.
Yeah, that's definitely unique. Not very many people have that for sure. So,
Yeah.
and it's so interesting too to learn about and stuff. So,
Hmm.
that's great.
Yeah. And I think everybody, I think the reality is that we all have an intuitive ability. We all get kind of gut knowings. We all, they use the
Mm-hmm.
example that like you'll walk into a room and you'll know two people have been fighting with each other, right? Like you can feel that energy in the room. So
Yeah.
that is a type of intuition. It is a type of being able to read and acknowledge and understand outside of ourselves and get, outside of our own brain and what
Mm-hmm.
we've learned. But certainly, yeah, some people, I always say some people have extra gifts. Like some people are really talented as a sports athlete, and I
Yeah.
can't play kickball. But,
Oh,
but I can know all kinds
yeah.
of deeply personal stuff and, talk
Mm-hmm.
to the greater spirit. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Can you share a recent success story with us of your business?
I feel like so much is a success all the time. I try and celebrate those things a lot. I did like from a very business perspective, I had launched a mastermind group, a curated mastermind group, meaning that people could apply to it, but I was hand selecting based on where people were in their histories, in their personal growth, as well as where they are currently in their business, and
Okay.
curating them and putting them together rather than most of the masterminds which just let anyone come in if they decide they want to enroll.
Yeah.
And so really curating this, and I run it only for a quarter at a time. It allows people to be able to move in and out of it as they feel they need it. Um, and align them with the people that, like I said, are really in the exact same space as them. And so that has been, we're getting ready to wrap up the Q4 one here. I'm doing enrollment for Q1, but it's been really exciting and it's been a real success in my heart.
Yeah.
I think more than anything because it's just gone exactly like I've seen it gone, like wanted it to go, and the participants have all had some really big personal and business breakthroughs in just one quarter. So to me, that's a giant success.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
definitely something that's very exciting for you and your business and everything. So thank you for sharing.
Hmm.
If you are comfortable
Hmm.
sharing, I was just wondering if, because this podcast, I want to like share the good and the bad side of businesses and everything. So is
Sure.
there anything that you would say that you struggled with starting your business?
Sure. Absolutely. There's been all
Yeah.
kinds of things that I've struggled with. Like I said, my business has taken on some different iterations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say the biggest thing is that, and it kind of ties back to what you were saying about the perfectionist and certainly wanting to be a people pleaser, certainly wanting to get it right. And I over listened to other people's advice and
Mm,
strategies
yeah.
that did not align with me and very frankly took me absolutely in the wrong direction.
Mm.
It muddled up my messaging. It stopped my flow of new clients. It lowered my social media engagement, and
Wow.
and it's not that I was necessarily getting bad advice or that I had hired the wrong person or that I wasn't using really well proven strategies and knowledge that I had even accumulated from working with other businesses.
Yeah.
It was just that it didn't align, but I was so in my head and I was so worried about wanting to say the right thing and say it the right way and get my
Yeah.
messaging just right. Um, that yeah, I was in my own way. I was so in
Mm-hmm.
my head that I was really in my own way, and it showed up in all the areas of my business for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really
Hmm.
appreciate it. And I know a lot of people that will be listening to this will also appreciate it too, to see the not so great side of building a business and everything, because people want to know the struggles as well as the good things, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for most people, we go through this growing phase and maybe you have some success straight off the bat with product sales or getting new clients and that kind of thing. And I think one of the things also that can be most discouraging is that when you hit that lull and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden it feels like nobody's buying my stuff anymore. Nobody wants
Yeah.
to work with me anymore, right? It can
Mm-hmm.
be, it's really challenging to stay in that space where you really just have to have faith and trust in yourself and that you're doing the right thing. And, you know, I said about listening to other people, and I think that's where we tend to start extra grasping at things outside of ourselves and like kind of trying all these different elements, seeing what sticks and what starts to move the needle again. And that's usually the opposite of what we actually need to do.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel great.
Yeah, for sure. It's uncomfortable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And just
Definitely.
trying to find the right path for us, the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question. What is a
Okay.
piece of advice that you would give um, someone just starting out, being an entrepreneur, starting their business, or maybe on the fence about starting? What would you tell them?
I would say if you're really just starting out or you're considering starting, get really clear about who you really want to work with and what you really want to do. Um, like I said, I feel like there's a theme now at this part of the conversation. We get in our heads because we're listening to other people or other people are telling us, well, no, you should do this because you're really good at that. Or that's where, there's this big boom in this area. So you should shift here and you should work with these people because that's a bigger, target market. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not the right advice. It's really not. I mean, you have to look for opportunity and you have to be in a space where you're responding to other people, where the void is and what they need and what they're wanting. But
Yeah.
if it's not really deeply, truly what you want to do and where your heart is being called to serve and who it's being called to serve and provide service to, it's going to be an uphill battle all the time.
Yeah.
So really dig deep and find out what's in your heart and what matters the most to you, not listening to everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so
Sure.
much for being on the show. I really enjoyed this conversation and it was great to get to know you and your business. So thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Sadie, so much for having me on. This was great.
You've just listened to an episode of Her Vision, Her Empire. We upload a video every single week, so don't forget to hit subscribe or follow to not miss out on future content. If you'd like to support our podcast, we would absolutely love it if you left a review or shared it with someone you know that would benefit from this content. Links to our socials are found below in the show notes, and thanks again for listening. Until next time.